We are continuing from a spot it cut us off, and the SD card ran out of room.
Don't you feel, Pastor Paul, that it is your responsibility as the leader of your church to oversee the children and the daycare?
Pastor Paul, would you respond to this, please?
As a pastor, I do definitely feel that I should oversee, but not necessarily direct. And I feel that with the time and what I've been able to do and what I'm capable of, in addition to my daily activities as a pastor, whenever I or any of my staff walk by, and we definitely all walk by and just keep check in on different locations, but we can't sit there and run the program.
Okay, so you feel like, Pastor Paul, that you are doing a sufficient job and an extensive enough job of overseeing and making sure that there is no abuse occurring?
Definitely.
Okay, so at this point, and Shannon, you obviously feel the opposite way. You feel like there needs to be more oversight. At this point, I'd like to have you guys quickly type up on your own some solutions to this problem, maybe, and how you guys would like, the future to look for both this community and this program, and maybe each brainstorm some ideas on basically write down ideas, and I'm gonna have you guys share individually how you guys want this situation to pan out. No matter how eccentric or whatever your opinion may sound, don't interrupt each other when we're discussing these issues. And then after you guys put out your feelings all on the table, then we'll start trying to break it down and come to something you guys could both agree on.
I've already come up with a list of things that I think may help the community in this situation.
Okay, so I'll have you share first then, Shannon.
I think that having the church create a driveway or a separate entrance for the pickup and the drop off of the children will create a more clear path on the busy street and actually be a safer pickup and drop off than the main road for the children. I'd also like to see that Pastor Paul is more involved in the classroom and on a consistent basis overseeing the tiny tots. Possibly if the children are crying and not feeling soothed enough, they need to add more staff to oversee the care of the children. And maybe because they've implemented more age groups, there needs to be separate pickup and drop off times for those children so that it's not congested on the street or in the pickup and drop off time all in one time.
Okay. Do you have any, so from what I understand, you'd like to suggest a separate entrance for pickup. You'd like to suggest more supervision, possibly more staff. And is there anything else you'd like to add to that? That in your ideal vision of the situation you would like to see?
And maybe separate pickup and drop off times
for
different age groups. Yes.
Okay. So separate times for the age groups, the different driveways. And is there anything else you'd like to add that you'd like to see that in your ideal, in this mediation, you'd like to see accomplished or worked out, like any solutions you'd like to suggest?
I'd just like to be respected in the community and know that the disturbance of the school needs to be contained.
Okay. Now, Pastor Paul, would you like to share with us what's on your list of solutions for a better tomorrow?
I think that just in general, like I said, the church has been running for as many years as it has. I think there hasn't been any complaints until recently, and the complaints have been over more than just the tot, the children. It's been over a lot of the activities that we're having. So I think that just in general, there needs to be more understanding from the neighbors that we are a church, we have been here, and I know that a road wants to be built, but financially we can't afford something like that as a church. So I would recommend doing something along the lines of just both communities being a little bit more understanding to the situation, maybe ourselves being more understanding, and we could split up the pickup times or suggest that to the little tots, but just being more understanding to the situation. We do have one private road that we all have there built, and having to build another road would be so many more steps, not only financially, but through contracts and who owns the land and conflict within the community on who's going to pay of people who are not here. And the church is not going to be paying for that. So I think that we could just do something more along the terms of just being under that community understanding.
Okay, so community understanding is
And
basically.
we can split up the times
Could
and
you
be
split
understanding
up
to
the
the busy
times?
roads.
And is there any other, is there any other ways of mending the, what's it called, the conflict between your church and the community? Is there any other, I don't know, it's like any other
Our
ideas
church
you
opens
have
our
that you'd like
doors
put
to
out
our
there?
community at all times. We definitely always open our doors for people to come in and understand these programs that we have, and that we hold, and just
atheist.
A communal understanding, neighbors. I know that Shannon stands for herself, but not honking their horns when they're driving by the church, not yelling things out, not being a hostile.
So
If
you'd like to push for a more.
If it's getting noisy, there are doors. Close your doors. I don't think that the noise is getting loud enough that it's going through walls.
Okay, and this is where we'll cut mediation, because after this, we're
You
gonna
just would not concede to me today.
Based on what I was about to say, so you're saying there's nothing you could do really at all? Yeah.
Well, what I was thinking.
I wanted to beat you.
We're gonna do feedback very quick. So feedback for
Yeah, of
us.
course. I'll just
So feedback for us. Go.
I think you guys did the parties did a very good job. You guys scared me at one point. I don't know if you guys planned
Are
an
you sure it
initial
wasn't Shannon
breakout,
Stern
but
like,
I like the idea where you guys took it to like a totally different parallel of the roles actually could possibly be in like a situation. So that was very creative and made it much more dynamic role play. And great job, guys.
Needy.
She scared me. You're like this, and then whatever. You guys are awesome, and in my play, I missed a lot of things, but you didn't. I don't think you have missed any points that is written in the role play, which is kind of like good.
Was there really people that called?
Yeah, there were.
It's what it said in
Yeah.
yours? 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't say anything like that.
They were yelling. I made it to shut up. I don't know what they said, but I'm just saying, if somebody's going around and you're pissed off, you're like, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
Dude, why don't you guys shut your children up? You know what I mean?
Since
So
we
you guys
agreed
were good.
since we agree that role players did a great job, why don't you guys focus on throwing me some criticism some constructive criticism as a
Okay.
mediator.
Let's see.
I think that there was one point where you said something along the lines of, I think you were definitely reasoning with her where I was just like, oh, it's
I didn't
like,
feel like it.
huh?
I didn't feel like
No,
you
no.
reasoned with me.
No, but there's a point in the beginning, beginning where you said something that I felt like you were definitely reasoning with her. And I was like, dude, you haven't even heard anything that I said, and it already sounds like you bought into her story. So I think towards the beginning, I wanted you to be a little bit more mutual, so I could feel more comfortable, be like, okay.
I didn't really pick up on that, but when the person who brings the other to mediation, when they first say their whole spiel and whatnot, I feel that in a way it's kind of hard not to sympathize with them, just because they are going through the process of filing a lawsuit. But I think, Charlie, you handled all of the pressures from these two very strong women very well. I want to say that things did get very heated between the two of you. Not in a bad
The
way.
caucus was awesome.
Yeah,
that was a good call.
that's where I was going.
I had to use
I-
Shannon
Very
definitely
well
knew that.
I feel like because things like that is a very real scenario. Even like today, in my observation, the two parties, they were right from the get-go. They were like, "Well, give me my evidence back. I'll give it to you when you give me mine." Like things get heated very fast, especially when things have a sensitive note to them. Like for you, you're an attorney, but you're also a mother, and the issue is about whether or not children are being abused. So that's a very sensitive issue. So I feel like you did a very good job, Charlie, at initiating the caucuses. I also liked how engaged you were with both parties. And I also liked seeing how when they would interrupt each other, how you would step in and how you would say, everyone calm down, this is, everyone gets to say their side of the story. You did that very well and very consistently. One thing though that I have a little critique on is that your energy is very up. You're a very enthusiastic mediator. That can work for you and against you. And I feel like it worked for. I feel like it worked for you and against you both ways.
How did it work against me? Explain that.
Okay.
Just so I can.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not trying to like.
No. So I can like be more aware of it.
Okay.
Next time.
I feel like sometimes you get too into their stories and too into their conflict, and you want to so bad try and solve their issue, but it's not up to you. It's up to them to solve their problem. But also your energy also worked for you because it helped calm their situation down. So it worked against you as far as you wanting to like get too involved, but it worked for you to smooth them out and to keep them in check.
Needy, do you have any feedback?
You knew where to like jump in, and then like how you were like, you know, let's go out and like talk individually, and you tried to explain. That was very good. And you try to like you try to make them talk in like one at a time, not like jumping at each other. So yeah, I like
think maybe I
it.
could have been better at letting them talk to each other more, but given their situation, that was kind of rolling the dice for me, letting them talk. You guys started to at the end.
And you played it out really well. Like,
Yeah.
The way you like handled it, I think you kept control really well and you mediated. Played the conduit and like you saw that they were very hostile towards each other and everything.
Right.
And, like, you handled it very well. I think
Definitely.
I did a lot of reflection. I could tell you were doing a lot of reflection.
I feel like I over-reflected sometimes. Like sometimes I would be like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I guess I'll reflect because
Yeah,
I'm
it
like,
seems you were reflecting like a little bit, sometimes like everything, and I was.
but it was because I was like,
Yeah.
I
No,
felt.
fine.
That's
I
how
felt
you
pressure
deal
to
with
push
your
hard,
thought.
so-
That's your
fine.
thought process.
Yeah.
You have a very vocal thought process for you to understand their different sides and
I
their
think it
different
helped
views.
out to make sure that, because like
That everything's
you
clear.
would ask like, this is what I'm understanding, so I wanted to make sure that then at that point I was communicating to you the right thing, not to Shannon. So I think that you brought the attention to you, like, and she was listening through you kind of thing.
I think you overtalked to me.
Over top of you.
Yeah.
I think that you talk very concisely and I could practice on that, but yeah, I think I had a lot of stuff that I was trying
You
to
had a lot to say.
You were a very passionate pastor,
You were.
and you were a very firm, concerned, and engaged lawyer and
And
mother.
then again, you gotta think about it. You were an attorney, so
You-
like,
yeah.
for you, you're definitely experienced. You know what points you want to hit, and I'm sitting
Right.
here trying to hit on the motion.
Right.
Like I want you to feel what our passion and mission.
I mean, if I didn't
want you to
know, I would
understand.
think that you were trained in some kind of litigation because you are very consistent and you are very fluid with your.
I've been
Your
told I
arguments.
should be an attorney.
You
Oh,
are.
you should be.
Good job, guys.
Yay!
Bye, Brune.
Bye.
Sorry about the cup.